Then we're gonna go live on Facebook.
Yeah, man. I liked your questions too when I read through it. Not even questions, but just the outline for it. Yeah, it
Yeah, because
seemed
I think it could.
right up my
It,
alley.
I figured that, man. Like, I've been following a lot of what you do, and I was like, I wanted to frame the questions that kind of hit on to the kind of vibe and the feel that I get, from your work, man. So
Definitely. Yeah, I had a little time to check out the it was like you and a young lady on there talking. I didn't catch her name or whatever, but like maybe one of your last things.
oh, it may have been because
Uh,
what that is a book. I'm doing a book club.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm doing a book club, and
you
I've
do
been
it
putting
all.
in.
Like
Yo, I'm trying, man. I'm trying, man.
it's hot though.
Yeah, I'm trying. Reach my
What
people
y'all
out
do
of
like
time.
once a month? Like you just get the book and then like, or is it like once
Like,
2 weeks or?
yeah, we what we did was we chose a book. So the book we chose this one, it was the developmental psychology of the Black child.
Yeah.
And we read the book, independently, and then once every 2 weeks we hop on the Facebook Live and we discuss like questions, based on the book.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm tuned in for
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
For the
Let me just put this.
knowledge.
Let's see. And I gotta get with you and Mike, man. Um,
Oh yeah, I almost forgot.
yeah,
I texted him before I came because he was like, "Yo, come to my house," and I was like, "Oh man, I got to do something with Doctor
yeah,
Laws real quick." Like I hit you
yeah.
after.
I he gonna be up on here too. I gotta get him
Uh,
up on here too. But I
yeah,
gotta do y'all joint. I gotta do y'all joint.
we need I need you. We'll plan something like this week.
True,
You know what I mean? But yeah, you've been high on the list for a minute.
true,
Um,
true.
but when
That's
it
what's
happens,
up.
it will happen.
Yeah, we'll make it work. So
Yeah.
we live now, Mr. Encore.
Yes, sir.
So I want to first thank you for joining. Before we get into discussing all of the great things that you bring into the table, man, specifically for our community and for the world right now. I just wanted to hop into and let everybody know, what we're all about here at Purpose and Practice Podcast. So this is the first episode of the podcast. Is dedicated to bringing to all of the listeners like extraordinary stories that are coming from individuals from our community who are always constantly working to like hone their craft and exploring their passion. If you ever read the book, Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outliers, he talks about this 10,000 hour theory of like, if you dedicate 10,000 hours to anything in terms of practicing it, you will become a master and an expert at that. Now, many scientists have debunked that and said, you know what, it takes more than 10,000 hours, this, that, and the other. But long story short, what Gladwell was really getting at is that you have to first find a purpose, and then you have to commit to that purpose by practicing it to master it. So that's what guests like Mr. Encore have done, and that's what my guests that I bring to you on this podcast, that's what they bring to the table. Another principle that we focus on here at Purpose and Practice is the Sankofa metaphor, the Sankofa model, which comes from the Akan people of Ghana. It generally means that if you see the symbol behind me, it is a bird that is reaching back for an egg. So the symbol is sometimes interpreted to say, go back and get it. Okay, but it expresses the importance of reaching back for knowledge that you gained from the past and bringing it forward. So that's what this show is all about. That's what this podcast is all about. It's about going back and getting it. And brothers like Mr. Encore, he's got knowledge that we want to bring forward and we want to hear from him. So this brother is like, I've had the opportunity. I've known him, since he was a student, probably going back to high school. I never had him in my class. I never had him in any classes, but I always remember him. And following him through social media, like, the brother is like a Harlem Renaissance man. He puts me a lot in the mindset of Paul Robeson, to be honest, in terms of having so many talents and having so many passions and really working hard to perfect each of them. That's something that I think is really, really important, in being diverse in terms of your interests. So he has, like, no, music is one of his big things, and music is probably something that most of the people who are watching today are going to be familiar with in terms of Mr. Encore. He has released two EPs, the Cleanse 1 and the Cleanse 2, which I was up on them when he first released them. Yeah, no doubt, fam, no doubt. Like, my favorite, I picked one favorite from each album. I love both albums, but that Testimony joint, and on the first album, Testimony, because, like, I'm a believer that, we all got a story to tell. And that, when you laid that down, especially the hook, I was like, wow, that blew me away, man. And
I appreciate you, man.
that blew me away. And then on the second album, we're gonna get it. You're gonna get a chance to tell us all about your music, but I just want to get this out here. That second album, and kind of, let you know that Take Me Down joint, like that. I was like, yo, that can kind of be the theme music for my podcast. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, in those of you, go ahead, on Tidal. I'm listening to it through Tidal. Download those EPs, listen to them. Take Me Down. If you listen to Take Me Down, you were basically listening to what I'm trying to do here on this podcast, in terms of keeping our culture alive, in terms of, defeating odds, and so on and so forth. So with that said, before I put the brother on, I want to just say one thing. The reason you have a Purpose in Practice podcast is because I was inspired by Mr. Encore. Last year, he did this 365-day beat challenge, right? So I was watching it on Instagram, like, every day. Like, the guy was just posted, like, beat every day, he did a beat, right? So I was like, yo, because it put me in that whole concept of Purpose in Practice. It put me in that whole concept, of the 10,000 hours of, perfecting your craft. So I had reached out to him at the end of the year. It was in January. You probably remember, I reached out to you on Twitter, and I was like, yo, you inspired me. And I think that we need to do more of that as a culture. You know what I mean? Like,
and at the time, I probably didn't even catch it. I just know you said like, congratulations, I want to have you on. I said, say no more. I didn't even catch this. You inspired me, because, like, you one of the leaders for for our generation. So for you to say that mean a lot, for real though.
I appreciate that, fam. I appreciate that. But just know, you inspired me to do this, because I said, if he can do that, and I said, what can I focus on this year to, like, to do every day and get great at? And I said, I'm gonna start this podcast thing. And I was like, will you be the first guest on the podcast? And you said yes, and here we are. So welcome to the show, Mr. Encore. And what I would like to just start off by, asking you, if you don't mind, just kind of giving us a little bit about the history of your MC name, man. Like, like, I never got a chance to holler at you about that, but
that's a long branch story for sure. But first and foremost, I just appreciate you for having me. Like you said I inspired you, but you've been inspiring me since day one. You know what I'm saying? And you've been watching me closely, but I've been watching you. You know what I'm saying? So definitely in terms of, like, my music and how I, like, say things, I'm always thinking, like, what would the OGs think?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Born, them type of people, them good brothers. So when you have, like, that on the back of your mind when you're doing something, you're always trying to, take it to the next level. So but the MC name, that's real easy. So when I've been rapping and making, like most young black musicians. I started in the church. My grandmother used to play the drums. My grandmother played the drums, and my uncle played the keys. So,
wow, that's different.
yeah. So me and my uncle had a good relationship because my dad wasn't really around, but my uncle would always be like just popping in. You know what I'm saying? Because we lived in Long Branch, but he was in like Red Bank, Tip Falls, but he would always be in Long Branch, so he would come through. So like when I got a little older, he started noticing that I was into music. So he gave me his keyboard, and then from there, I was like 10. And then from like 10 to like maybe 16, I just started, messing around with music. But first I was a singer because like back in it, like that's when Usher was hot. Like the middle school, I was singing, like we had a little singing group, but you do music because to impress the girls or whatever. So the girls wanted the singers, like the rappers was just getting hot, like, but rapping was more street, you know what I'm saying?
True.
So we was singing, like, so we started singing, then DMX came out. So when Dark and Hell is Hot came, I seen the girls, like, I never seen a rapper like really have like real, I'm talking about like female fans, like from our era, like, you know what I'm saying? So when I seen that, I was like, nah, like this singing stuff ain't it. Like, I'm gonna start writing. So coming from Long Branch, you had to know how to battle, like, you know what I'm saying? You can't just rap. You can't just say you rap. They'd be like, all right, yo, tomorrow you verse such and such, and you'd be like, wait, hold on, like. They like, nah, you better go home and write. So just coming up in a battle scene. So I picked the name Encore. And then I got the Mista from, I don't know if you remember, Born had a studio called Cash Cow Studios.
True,
you know what I'm saying? With a lot of the older rappers.
Yes.
He had Gun, Born, Shadi, Mag, you know what I'm saying? And I used to be like 15 over there, like trying to play them beats and stuff, but I wasn't really there yet. So it was this dude in there, and his name was like Mr. Shh. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of his face or whatever, but I just remember like he had that Mr. in front of it. So I kind of stole, like I never told nobody this story, but I stole like that Mr. from that. Because his was MR dot, like Mr. Shh. Like we got just, if you know Cash Cow, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like Skills probably know what I'm talking about, but I took that and then I said, yo, how can I personalize it? Because I felt like Encore would have been, if I put like a Mr. in front of it, then I could personalize it. And if they Google, because I was thinking like, yo, if they Google, I want them to be able to find me right away. So I came up with the MISTA and then put the Encore behind it. But Encore really come from, I was a punchline rapper when I would battle. So I used to focus on punchlines. So I would just write these crazy punchlines to the point where I would rap and people would be like, yo, run that back. Cause we want it. Cause they ain't really get the metaphor at first. They wanted to hear it again. They do that now in battle rap. If you notice, they'll say that
echo
like 2-3 times, but they wasn't doing that back in the day. So they used to always be like, yo, do that again. So that's what gave me the Encore thing. And then I took the Mr. from the, the older cat. And I just kind of, so it was kind of taking a little something, little inspiration from everybody.
From every play. Yeah. That, yo, that's a hot story. It's funny you bring up Cash Cow. I go back with Born A, we got mad history together. And I remember it was a group, it was him and Prince got Jid, it was called 5% Assassins. And
gotta ask him about this.
Yo, you see that? Yeah, because that's like that's like the granddaddy, you know what I'm saying? Because that, when Cash Cow came, and listen, I'm not an expert at that history, Born would be more of an expert. I gotta get him more here. But I remember 5% Assassins, and this is like we were in like high school. And they was
like 90, 91.
Shoot, this was like 90 because I think Born graduated in 90 or 91. We didn't come out, Gajid, my group, we didn't come out till 94, but Born had taken us under, because of the culture, Born had taken us under his wing at a very young age. We was like in 90.
He a master teacher. Born master. He a good dude, but he's a master teacher, bro.
No doubt. No doubt. And
he brought me, like, I came to his house. It was the first studio, like the first real studio I ever been in. And he had a dope studio. So I asked him all these questions. I'm like a 15-year-old kid, I'm being annoying, but he could see the good in me, like, you know what I'm saying? Then I played him some stuff. I think I played him like an R&B beat. And he like, He was like, yo, you like you mad talented. And I just like, damn, that was the first time I ever heard it. I'm
I
like,
heard
what
that.
you mean? Like, we still learning. Like, and he like, yo, you talented. Like, yo, I think you could do this, da. So from there, you know, but
It it took off. So you was like, so you were in high school when you met him.
yeah, well, like he been cutting my hair since like 6, I think 15, 16, like old Cutter's Corner on the
Okay, all
you know
right.
what I'm
Yep.
saying, on the
Yeah.
corner
Yep.
of what's that, Rockwell, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's how I first met him. Then you know, we had a high school, you know, we had a high school group, and I think I might have given him a CD or something, or like I ran, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, this kind of good or whatever. So he was like, yo, who do the beats? So I was explaining me and Coaston, shout out to Coaston. You know, he did like most of the project, and then I did like 3 beats. So he was like, yo, just bring the tracks to over here. So when I walked in, that's how I start, you know what I mean? Start meeting everybody, and then, you know, the sound start changing, and, you know, just
And that community, man, like, you know, that was one of the things. Like, I was never musically inclined, but what I love to do, I was a real good listener of music.
mm-hmm.
I would describe myself as a student of music. And one of the things, it's funny that you mentioned, like, now with punchline rap and battle rap, sometimes, you know, there's an encore or there's an echo of a punchline, you know, because what we used to do is, like, we would hang on every word, and then that hanging on that word would lead us to researching, you know, what was said, the context it was said, and where it came from, you know, like, and that's the truth be told, that's what got me into, like, English,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, all right, so that's like poetry. You know, I can break down poetry and break down a theme in a novel the same way that I can break down, you know, like a hip hop verse. So that's what did that for me. You know, that's why when I went to school, I was like, oh, I'm a major in this, because that's closest to the culture that I
Yeah.
identified the most with.
I
So
always say, like, if you could write a rap, you can write a movie, you could write a screenplay, you could write
true,
a novel. You know what I'm saying? Like
true.
English is like writing, like creative writing is creative writing in any form. I was just thinking about that the other day, because like getting into like photography. Like, I got my shameless plug,
Oh,
10-fold
I see.
photography.
I see. Check them
Um,
out.
I want to,
Tenfold.
yeah. I'm working on, like, I'm getting in. I want to get into the film, so I'm taking that RZA route. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
But just like
mm,
really researching and studying, and it's like they all say the same thing. Is like you got to really write. You know what I'm saying? Because I think RZA studied under what's the director of Django and
yeah, it was
yeah,
Tarantino.
yeah, Tarantino. So he went
Yeah,
studying under him
Tarantino.
for like 10 years, like before he
True,
started. Yeah, so you know we
true.
all need a teacher, but yeah, English is very important. And like I think Aaron was telling me a story about like an English teacher somewhere, and he had like fell into the position, so he didn't really know the students like that, and
Hmm.
none of the boys wanted to write because they thought it wasn't cool. So what he did, he went to the store, he brought like mad like notebooks, you know what I'm saying, the black and white notebooks, came
True.
back, and he put in like a beat tape. So he was like, I want y'all to write raps, you know what I'm saying? So once he said that, everybody in the class started
Change.
writing, like, you know what I'm saying? So
Change the game.
and but they was doing the same thing, like, even though they you know it's
Hmm.
rhyming, they you know it's creative writing. So whatever, you know, however you inspire somebody is, you know what I mean, you got to get that message off, like,
True.
yeah.
True. It's you know, it's so funny that you said that, and you start talking about studying things. When I was listening to, me and my wife, we was just listening to the other day. It was the 25th anniversary of the Purple Tape, the only built for Cuban links.
Classic.
So yeah, so Raekwon was on. He was on IG Live, and it was like a lot of brothers that was on the album were coming through like real quick on lives and everything. And Ghost had got on, and Ghost was talking about, they start talking about the process. Like, they start going through the process of writing that album. And they started off by saying they went to Barbados, they wrote there because they wanted a certain feel. Then they said they ended up in Miami writing. And they start saying, yo, every morning we get up early in the morning and, you know, we just start writing, you know. And then Raekwon was like, yeah, it was like school. You know, he was like, we was doing this every day. And that makes me get to a question with you, is like, you know, a lot of times, you know, when we consume art, we see the end product. You understand what I'm saying? Like we see the outcome,
Yeah.
but a lot, what I love to get back is behind the scenes of like what went into creating that album, what went into creating that product. So what I would like to hear from you is a little bit about like your process. What is your creative process like?
Yeah. Yeah, my process, is different. It's not different every time. It's really me. Like, you know what? I usually start the day. It's never really with music. It's like, I start with my daughter, my family.
Mm.
I see what's on the schedule. And then I try to fit in like what time. Like I'll check our agenda, and then I'll be like, all right, like 3 o'clock seem like a downtime because my daughter 3 years old, so she usually take a nap like either like from 1 to either like 1, 2, 3. That's usually her
Uh-huh.
time she pass out. So I'll be like already plotting, like, all right,
That's my
I can
time.
get like 3 beats in, let me just put my headphones. And I do it like that. So I try to make, now I'm trying to make like 3 a day. And then, it start with the beat. And then like, as soon as I make the beat, I know right away if I'm gonna write to it. Or if I know if I'm gonna give it to somebody. Sometimes, like usually with the cleanse, like the way I did that was like I would make the beat and I would write to it right away, record to it right away. So even if I did send it to somebody, I would send them the idea, like, you know what I'm saying? I send them the hook and everything. So that led to a
Okay.
lot of things. But a lot of times, like if I get the first verse, then I go right into the second, third, and I try to like just bang it out like that. The take me down one, like my two favorite songs on the last two cleanse projects is Daddy's Girl 1, and then Daddy's Girl, and it take me down just simply because my daughter was there for both times. And then the first one was special because I came up with I'm like, yo, like, like when you think about songs about like family structure or just songs about like husband and wife in the hip hop, is really not a lot, you know what I'm saying? So I know Tupac touched on the mother thing, and I'm like, damn, like from a father's perspective. I think Will Smith did a song with I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
just
the
the two
song is
of
up
us.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm like, it'd be hot like for like a black father to like just talk about his relationship with his daughter. Like, you know
Daughter.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
I thought that would be interesting. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna dedicate a song to her every year on her birthday. I release on her birthday. Then when she turned 18, I'm gonna present her with 18 songs
Oh,
so
wow.
she can really, because I
Wow.
by that time she'll be able to be like, all right, let me go back and,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying, and then I
That's
can,
hot.
yeah. So the first one was special because she was like in the stroller and I was recording, like this had his mic. She was like where that stool is, like, and she ain't wake
Wow.
up one time. And then like Take Me Down literally was like, if you really listen to that song, I'm like, it's the TV on in the back. She like
Uh-huh.
running through the
Everything. Yeah.
house. Like
Yeah.
I was just so like I'm like record, like it started off as a what they call a reference vocal where you just lay it down just to see what it sound like, and then you'll go back and change it just to tighten it up. But I ain't go back and change nothing on that. Like I just did it. I listened to it. I was like,
Just,
I'm like, yo, this
yo,
it. Yeah, because like when I'll be writing some, I don't like to think too much. I just like to hear the beat and just let the words come how they come, and then I'll try to structure them and be, try to do my thing on it. But like when you start getting in your head a little, or when you try to force music, I'd rather just walk away from it. So from my creative process, just be inspired. Like if you inspired, you're gonna figure it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just doing it and knowing the techniques is one thing, but like being like getting that feeling when you're making it, like, yo, this beat, like when I be making it, sometimes I be like, yo,
this,
that's why I use Instagram and Facebook and Twitter so much, just
uh-huh.
because in my mind I'll be thinking like, yo, this it, like, but I want to see what the people think. So
Yeah.
when you put it out there, it's like they're gonna tell you, they don't
True.
care, they can keep it honest. So a
True.
lot of times the stuff I like, they was like, yo, that's okay, but some of the stuff wasn't really feeling, they was like,
They
yo,
was like, yo, that,
that's the thing you ever did.
yeah.
Like I was like, see that, and that's why you can't never like keep nothing on the computer. So
Yeah.
I
That and
mean,
that you know, it's funny though, because that's also like to me, you know, because I think that some of us we write with audiences in mind, you
mm,
know. And one of the things that, when I
That
study
works
artists,
sometimes though,
that's,
but it depends on what you're doing. Like if you got something to say and you just want to say it, then you really don't care you don't care about the audience. You know what I'm saying? As long as you being respectful, whatever, in terms of
mm-hmm,
whatever. But if you just, sometimes you be like, man, I just want to say this, you know what I'm saying? We'll just see how it come out. But then sometimes you like, all right, let's make the more upbeat, or let's make something slower.
something else
You
for,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like, so
yeah,
it's like that probably with creative writing. If you're a writer, if you're writing a horror thing, you're gonna be thinking about, how
in
you
that
can push
zone.
it to the yeah. So I understand. Like,
So you talked about your daughter, which we get to see a lot of on Instagram. If we follow you on social media, we see that.
she the
Um,
boss, man.
yeah,
She run things.
that's what daughters do, man. That's what daughters do, especially to their daddies. That's what daughters do. Tell me more. Tell me more about family in terms of you even talked about in your early musically. It was more family oriented. Like that. That's how you got into it. If you talk about inspiration, would family be like that top inspiration for you?
Yeah, most definitely. I think like music started for me with my grandmother because she was like super super religious, always going. She go to church like Monday, Wednesday,
Uh-huh.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like maybe take like one day off, like but it was heavy. Got like Bobby Jones gospel. I remember being young. That's like old head. I'm 34, so we would be like young. She would have that on Sundays,
Uh-huh.
and they would just be going in. And then when we got to the church, they had the drums and the keyboard, and they had the mic or whatever. So at first, I was like messing with the drums, but I was like, nah. So I went to the keys, but I really liked the keys just because my uncle was there. So he used to let me sit next to him. So I used to be, so that's what got me into it. And he gave me his keyboard, got me into it a little more, and then I downloaded like Fruity Loops or something.
Yeah, I remember
They on
that.
yeah, they on Fruity Loops
It's
20. I
still,
I started
yeah,
on 3.
I
So that's
remember
how
that.
long I've been doing this. Like, so
Yeah, I remember that.
once I started like making the beat, once I started like going to the studio making the beats, then it like really changed for me like 15, 16, where it was like, all right, cause like nobody would give me tracks, like, cause you like back in the day you used to have equipment, and if you didn't have like a drum machine, so if you did have equipment, you was somebody because it cost a lot of
Hmm.
money. It wasn't
To
like today
to
where you could
generate,
download
yes,
anything. Like you used to have to, if you had
yes,
a studio, you made music. Like if you had a drum machine, you was like
yeah,
a producer. Like couldn't nobody tell you nothing. So when
yeah.
I would ask people, they'd be like, "Man, like I'm not giving you no beats. Like you ain't nobody." So the way I was thinking, I'm like, I'm just gonna learn myself. So I just sat there, started messing with it. My man Kosin would come through, and he was like a real producer at the time. Like his
Uh-huh.
beats was, I'd be like, "Yo, what you think? What you think?" And it took like a minute for him to be like, he would really, but he would come and listen to like
Uh-huh.
6 beats. They all be corny. And then he'd go home, he'd come back, he'd come. So it took a minute for him, but one day he was like, "Yo, all right,
It,
okay." Yeah,
it
you
all
starting to
gelled.
get it, like yeah. So
Yeah.
and then you just keep doing it, keep doing it. You want because all I did was listen to music, like I'll be in my room. I just put music on. I'll be studying. I listen to the sounds they would choose. You start learning different producers. Like
Hmm.
how you said, like a lot of people be attached to the end product. I'll just like
Hmm.
I'll break open the credits. I want to see who the engineer
True.
was. I want to see
True.
who not made the beat. I want to see where they recorded it at. You don't
Yes.
even you can't even
Yes.
really get that all. You can't really do that no more unless they start putting the credits, like you can't even, it's different now, like because you used to have the paper book, like you know what
True.
I'm saying, and
True.
used to be able to listen to this shit, and it's so
It is
um
wild different, which is, it's crazy because I think that a lot of that we need back,
definitely yeah.
because that part of, because that was literacy. You were like, and going back to even the story you told with Aaron, I remember, RIP, to Kenny,
Mhm.
but I
Yeah,
remember,
R.I.P.
yeah, Kenny Morris, man, like, because I was just sharing a story with my wife, because I was like explaining to her who he was.
Mhm.
And I said, "Yo, I remember the first time they were in ninth grade. I had him in class, and that was when Kanye West dropped All Falls Down.
Mhm.
So I was like, yo, how can I bring this into English class? So I just bought the video. I bought the video into English class, downloaded the lyrics, gave the students the lyrics, and I said, let's start exploring this. Played the video after we, analyzed it, went through all of that, right? And they was putting some complex meanings behind, that song, which had a lot of complexity in it.
Yeah.
So then
The song kind of deep. Yeah.
that is way deep, yo.
Yeah.
And I was like, I played getting to the Kenny part, I played the video, and he starts singing the hook. Yeah. And it was like, yo, like the class was kind of, it was like it was one of those times in the classroom where I was like, yo, I wish I could just bottle this up and it be this every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, but thinking about that, and kind of transitioning into education, transitioning into the classroom, I tell my own children that there's two educations, right? There's the education that you're going to be given, whether it's at a public school, and then it's an education that you got to seek out, right? Tell me a little bit about, in terms of your feelings on education and being prepared, and maybe what school, if school prepared you to be who you are, or if there's maybe things that we can do as educators to better prepare, people who may be on your path.
Yeah, definitely. So, like definitely my early education, was, elementary school, middle school to high school. And to be honest with you, like I was a terrible student because, one thing school taught me is what I didn't like. So basically, you never had me in a class because I actually moved from Long Branch to Ocean Township, and I went to Ocean Township from 6th grade to high school and graduated from there. But my brother eventually wound up going back, and I still had all my friends, so I was still being Long Branch a lot. So, and then we kind of just grew up together. That's why a lot of people, they like, yo, I'm from Long Branch, but I graduated from Ocean. But that ties into my story. When I got to middle school, was I was coming from like an all black, and Latino, a few white kids, to basically, and when I was in 6th grade, I was like, I was the only black kid in my class, like all white. So it was a big difference, and I had to learn to adjust. And but the biggest issues I had was with teachers. It wasn't even with students, because students, they was rocking with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could make friends easy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like I feel like I'm a good judge of character. So, if I seen somebody, a good person, I would, you know what I'm saying? What's up? Let's whatever. So I made friends. But what I seen was like teachers was like, they would go like extra hard on me for no reason. And this one teacher in particular, I remember in 6th grade, like she just didn't like me, like for whatever reason. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We all know what that is, but I feel like she wasn't prepared to have a black student. She maybe never had one, or maybe if she did, she just acted like that every time. So me and her used to get into it, and I was, you know what I'm saying? I would be able to have a debate without, curse words, and just, like, this is your job. Like, do you like your job? Or do you want to be a teacher? Because, you know what I'm saying? So saying stuff like that, then I would go to guidance counselor, and we sitting in there arguing. I'm like, yo, they rate. So I'm in like 6th, 7th grade. So make a long story short, I tell my mom, she's like, yo, listen, the world isn't fair, and, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, yo, I'm going through it. Like, so, but, so that kind of like turned me off from school to the point where it's like, all right, instead of me like attacking it the way I did music, like I'm gonna really buckle down. I'm just gonna do what I gotta do just to get out of here type thing. And then like when I got to high school, I dabbled in the sports a little, but like 10th grade, 11th is when I really got heavy into music, and that's when things changed, because it gave me a motivation. It gave me a purpose. You know what I'm saying? So once I found that, I was like, all right,
changed the game.
Yeah. So now instead of me like just whatever, I'm like, let me just do what I got to do to get up out of here, so I could go do what I really want to do. So then once I got out of high school, I never really did the education thing. But going back to the education that you seek out, that's when I really shine. Is not like formal education, but being under people that I know could teach me, like the Borns. If I want to learn engineering mixing, I would go in there and a mixer. If I want to learn photography, I'll follow a photographer that I know, and let me come with you. I'll hold the light. Like, just tell me what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that's how I learned. Instead of, you know, the ABC 1, 2, 3, I'm like, yo, nah, I want to do music, I want to do film, I want to do photos. So I'm gonna go in that field and I'm gonna learn everything about it. And then I'm just gonna do this every day until, you know what I'm saying, they take me serious and all of that. So but education is very important because representation matters. Like if I would have had like a you
Yeah.
ocean,
Yeah.
if I would have seen more of me
Yeah.
authoritative position, maybe my views would have been different, but I didn't. Like I was, you know, and a lot of kids that came out of that school, we all had the same story. So you know, that was my thing with education.
Nah,
But it changed after I got older and I understand what it is, and it's really like, you know, it's nothing cool about being dumb. Like having knowledge yourself and really knowing things and really being prepared is everything. Like music taught me more about anything than any subject in school, and that's not even to be funny, but it taught me how to get prepared. It taught me how to study.
True.
It taught me how to really like do your craft like correctly, like, you know what I'm saying. And I never picked that up in school.
And that's why I ask a question like that, because as me being an educator, one of my goals is to create an experience in K through 12 education that is going to lead to a you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and not lead to, and what I mean by that is that are we really being responsive to the young people we serve? That's what it all comes down to. Are we trying to help transform their lives? Or are we trying to get them to fit into these boxes? Yeah. And if they're not
are we like this, like purpose, like, and purpose is very important. Because I feel like the reason you go to school or you have a teacher is to find, or your parents, like they should be helping you find your purpose and your passion. And then once you find it, that's when you gotta attack. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if your purpose is creative writing and you find that out in 10th grade, then you need to be writing every day. You need to figure out, you know what I'm saying, see who publishers are. If you want to be a swimmer, you need to be swimming every day. It's real simple, but a lot of times you try to force kids like through a system, like a all, you know what I'm saying, a system that's designed for everybody and not really tailoring to what they really good at. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody might be horrible at math, but they might be good in science, or might be horrible at science and math, but real good in, you know, something else. So it's just finding that. Like I believe that teachers see that in students. Like, yo, I feel like this kid is really gifted at this. Like let's see if we can focus him on that, like, type of thing. Like that matters. You know what I'm saying?
And
but
that's what,
I mean, you know more about that.
But. Yeah. No, but what you're saying is true, man. And like, even because truth be told, the second part of that story I told about Kanye West, and then when I got to move on to teaching Shakespeare, it was easier for me to get students to transition to that because I started with their own culture. So when we talk about like culturally responsive teaching, that basically comes down to starting where kids are, like recognizing their culture and what's important to them, and building everything. And that's what master teachers can do. You build everything around that. You understand what I'm saying? Like when you can do that, like, for example, even prepping for our talk, like, yeah, I had to study you. You know, because in studying you, I'm able to now bring out, and that's what educate is. It comes, you know, the Latin root is to bring out, you know what I'm saying? So I'm now able to bring out, you know what I'm saying, that best part in you. So, you know, I want to transition, because this is something we don't talk a lot about, you know, especially in our community, you know, in terms of, you know, I know in my community growing up, we didn't hear a lot, and we didn't talk a lot about failure, but failure in a sense of how did I use it to change my reality? Like we stay stuck on failure in terms of, you know, you're not going to amount to this, you're not going to do this, you're not going to be able to do this. But very seldom do we have that transformational conversation of like, all right, but how can I flip this to success? So if you don't mind, you know, share, we talked a lot about the things that you're successful in, but if you could share some times or a time where you feel like you failed and you kind of had to bounce back?
Yeah. Well, I give you the long answer and the short answer. The short answer is I felt every day. Like I just don't tell everybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially like when I sit down and I try to do a beat or I try to do something, like sometimes it just be hard. Like it'd be bad. Like I'm like, this is bad. So but that's a failure though. But I always say like you have to fail upwards, you know what I'm saying? So I always been the type of person where I jump out the window, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't care how I don't care how I look, but if I'm trying something and I know I'm not good at and it's new to me, you're not gonna look cool doing that all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you
True.
starting a podcast, your first
True.
podcast, you might be moving a lot. You might,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
because you just it's new
Yeah.
to you. You know what I'm saying? But I'd rather look bad than never have done it because like if I have the idea in my head, if I don't do it right away, it's gonna bother me for a long time. So but failing, the long answer is nobody. You cannot master nothing and not fail. Like it's just a part of the process. You know what I'm saying? As a scientist, like if you trying to develop a cure, like you're gonna be failing every day. Like so it's people in there working on this coronavirus right now, and they probably failing like 300 times a day, but it's just it's part of the experiment. Like, you know what I'm saying? And anything, that ties into everything. Like if you a cook, if you want to really master your recipe, you're going to be doing, you might do that like 3 times a week, 5 times a week, trying different things, putting different ingredients in. And, one little wrong thing can mess
It's
up your
good. That's the
whole
whole,
dish. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? So,
Yes.
real talk, like to me, being creative is just cracking a code, like especially music is just cracking a code, because it's all feeling, it's all like experience and how people take that experience and it resonates with them. You know what I'm saying? And anything writing, storytelling, so when you start anything, you're gonna fail. Like it's just, man, I could tell you stories. Which what made me start the tenfold photography thing was, and that ties into the 365 beat challenge was yeah, I did the beat challenge in 2019. So November 2018, December 2018 was like the roughest like 2 months in like my whole life. Like
Wow.
everything just started happening, everything started falling apart, nothing wasn't working. Everything I did, it just like it was crazy to the point where I was like, yo, like, all right, what we doing here? Let me change. Let me sit down and like really like map something out. So I'm like, yo, I'm like, this year like ended crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, 2019, I'm just gonna have a plan. So I was like, yo, I'm always taking pictures. I always got my camera. Let me do this. Let me jump into this for real, really learn the craft. So January 2019, I started Temple Photography. I asked one of my friends, I'm like, yo, just come out, let me shoot you. And, we took some pictures, went home, started going on YouTube, learning about lenses, learning how to edit, whatever. Same time, I'm like, I'm going to make a beat every day, like for 365 days. Like, I wasn't thinking about no money. I wasn't thinking about nothing. I was just like, I'm just going to do this for me type thing. And I did it. I just put it, I did it the first few days. And then I started noticing like people was holding me accountable. Like, yo, day 4, like it's 5:00. Like where you
where that beat at? Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, y'all like into this? Like I was thought like, so by like the second week, I'm like, yo, all right, yo, this gonna be something. And then fast forward to like the middle of the year, like I had sold like, so I was posting a beat like 365 beats. I probably sold 75% of them, like to people from all over the country. Like, and that really helped. Like that helped me because I was really going through it in 2018. So 2019 kind of was like, yo, you gotta go. Like, yo, felt like I was like, yo, there's no way I'm feeling. Like, even if I failed at that, I was like going to do something else. Like, I just had it in my mind. I wasn't going to lose. Like,
wow. So that's how, like, but think about that, right? So you were going through that, and they, we say that you got to go through hell to come out right. You know what I'm saying? And you went through that hell to come out right. And think about how that then impacted me. Like your world now and what you did, actually sent like a whole vibe and energy to me to kind of be like, all right, I got to get off my project. So what's my project going to be? And how am I going to get that off? And like, and here we are. So I think, you know, that part about
Energy is very like creative. Even
yes,
like, yo, like I having this conversation with my wife about just people in general, and somebody you might not have met in person, but you might they might shoot you a message and y'all might have a conversation through Instagram, Twitter, whatever. That really like if you around, if you could kind of, it's like you watch a video and you see something that motivates you or inspire you. Like social media could be the same thing if you use it correctly. So I was like, yo, we already gonna be on here. Let's take this to the next level.
to the
Let's
next, yes,
master in what we do. And
yes,
you know, we trying to, you know, we doing this for not for ourselves. We doing it because, you know, this is what we feel like we put here on this earth to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then if we could help people at the same time, then that's just like two birds with one stone type thing. So, you know, it bugged me out when people be like, it bugged me out when I did like the numbers for the last year, and I was like really looking at them like, yo, damn, people is really paying for this music.
yes.
Like, and I was going through it, but it all started with a thought, because it's like, yo, if you, they see you on here they see me every day, like every day, like, yo, he, all right, yo, Encore on here, he in the studio, like, and they would hit me like on something like, yo, come on, what's up? To the point where if you didn't message me in like 3 days, like that beat was gone, like,
because somebody else has snatched it off.
Somebody was on it, so it was like, yo, you know, but it was, but that goes back to the failure, turning failure into something inspirational. And I feel like if you could take, like, you know, lemons and make lemonade, if you could take that and do that throughout life, because you're gonna be fighting your whole life. Like I feel like those 2 months not gonna be the only difficult times, but just knowing that I could overcome that, now I'm like, man, all right, let's go. Like,
whatever it
you know what I'm
is,
saying? Like,
bring
can't
it,
nothing stop me. Like, yeah, like I'm
bring it
on
on.
fire. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and you gotta have that mentality, because if you don't, like, you just gonna be just getting knocked down, like left and right type. You know what I'm saying? So
That's what's up. Yo, I want to get into a question, you know, especially you being an MC. I'm interested to hear your thought, but I kind of want to, like, when I was, you know, I talked already about the Cuban Links album. Like that album dropped, when that album dropped in 95, I was at the time, it was my second year in college, and I was home for the summer, and I was working at Burger King, right? So
hustling.
it was like a grind. I was working in the morning at the housing authority, and then at night I was going to Burger King working. So what I stopped at the time, it was this Mac Records over on Broadway, which is not even Broadway anymore. But I stopped there. I never forget. I got the purple tape, got on the bus, went to Burger King. This is when Burger King used to be over by Home Depot in that plaza. So I was so happy that day when I got in, because it was like, okay, you got dishes today. So that meant I was going to be in the back, and all I was going to do is wash dishes. So me and my boys, we always had a radio back there. So I popped in the purple tape, right? And when I heard that music, it changed. That I'll never forget. That's where I heard it. That's where I listened to it. And I remember specifically listening to Striving for Perfection, which is like the first track on the whole thing. And I started thinking about like where I wanted my life to be. Because on that album, they created like this whole mood and vibe of like, yo, it's more for you. It's more for you, you know? So what I wanted, and that album changed the trajectory. I started taking college more seriously. I start, you know, taking everything that I did. I was like, how am I striving for perfection? So what I want to know from you is there an album? Is there a book? Is there any type of media that has kind of changed your life or kind of like pointed you in a direction that had you not experienced that art, you may not be, you know, where you're at right now?
Oh yeah, definitely. You said like Cuban Links for you. I say like the first 2 hip hop albums that I ever listened to was it wasn't Illmatic. It was written Nas, and the Blueprint One was like when it was like the first 2 hip hop like that I really sat and listened to, like, you know what I'm saying? And I know like a lot of people be like, yo, Illmatic, but like for me, like it was written just me. It just it mean more to me because that was like the first time I heard Nas, and then I went and back and listened to Illmatic. But you know, same thing with Jay. It was like I didn't listen to Reasonable Doubt when I was 10 years old when that came out. So I was like, when I heard the Blueprint, you know, in like 2001, then I went back, was like, oh, he got 1, 2, 3, you know what I'm saying? He got how many albums? So them 2 albums. But then like when I really got older and really started getting into music, like the Nina Simone, to me is like, that was like, it was different because it was like, it was like soulful, it was good, it was witty. She had a message. She was telling a story. It was like black culture, black pride. It was like it's nothing. It's nothing you can put on any Nina Simone record right now, and it's gonna be like not, because
Yeah.
she don't fail. Like she don't miss. Like
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
like she like my favorite artist of all time. Her, Stevie Wonder, um, Stevie.
How you? But hold on. Let's stay on that Nina for a minute.
Yeah.
How did she get into your whole perspective, bro? How, like,
Hip hop.
how did it happen?
Hip hop, because like
Okay.
so when you like coming up, like it was like I came up in the soul beat era, like Kanye, Just Please, you know, Pete Rock, Q-Tip. So they was all sampling. So Knife Wonder, I started sampling. That's the first thing. But when you sample, you have to listen to old music. You have to research music. So that turned me into a researcher. That turned me to studying and digging and like, you know what I'm saying? So started, I noted, like I used to go on Jack's Music in Red Bank because I used to work in a hospital in Riverview. And on my break, I would just go buy 3 records from the $3 from the dollar bin. And they used to have it broken up like rock, soul, comedy, and they would just always have the soul section. So I know Kanye. This was when like Kanye, Rockefeller was hot. You know, it was all soul beats. So I would just go right to the soul section. So I used to get the Isley Brothers, Nina Simone, Teddy Pendergrass, Al Green, and I just bring them home. I'll be downstairs listening to that, and my mom used to be coming down there like, "What's going on down here?" Like, so eventually I used to come home with records every day. She like, yeah, yo, you need to listen to this. And that introduced me to so much music. You know what I'm saying? So then one day, I think I ran across like a Best of Nina Simone CD.
Change your life.
I didn't even want to. I just was sitting there listening to this, like, yo, this is amazing. Yeah. Like, yo, who is this thing? Started looking up stuff, you know. So
because that's not that's why I had to pause, man, because I thought about, because I was thinking like Nina Simone came kind of late for me, unfortunately, but it came through hip hop. It actually came from the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. She had that one verse. She was like defecating on the Nina Simone and defecating on the microphone, and then I was like, yo, who is Nina Simone?
Yeah.
You know, so
Talib, shout out to Talib Kweli. He used to talk about her like in like every other song. So I used to always hear her name, and I used to be like, "Yo, who you talk?" And then I could start putting it together. And then when he did Get By, I looked up the Kanye sample. So then I'm like, "Yo, who's?" I'm like, so then I listened to the song. I was like, I'm like, yo, I'm like, he killed the beat, but then I'm like, yo, did he really like touch this? Like it was already done. Like he didn't really have to do too much, but. But hip hop teaches like if you really break it down, hip hop it introduced you to it. Like it introduced a lot of people to jazz, a lot of people to soul music, reggae. You know what I'm saying? It'll put you on like for real classic rock.
True. And it sends you, if you let it, it will send you on journeys. You're right. It sends you on journeys.
Just like you said, you heard that Purple take. I remember listening to it was written and then like on like a little CD player type thing. And then after that, you know, getting into DMX, and after that, it was on, like, you know what I mean? Because coming up from my era, we had to go back to kind of, because we was like, the 95, 96 is like golden, and that's when everything was coming out. So you like 2001, 2002, like hip hop was really pumping. So then a lot of people had to go back, especially people my age, like, yo, all right, let me get up on 93, you know what I'm saying? 94, 95.
True. But not everybody did, Mista Encore. Like you know,
to this day, they don't, like, a lot of people really, you know. That's why I try to, like, my music, you know, to the young boys, like, they like, oh, you do like them old school beats, but I do it all. Like I ain't out here like I don't listen to Roddy Ricch or whatever. Like I listen to that too, but I listen to Tribe Called Quest too.
True.
I listen to Mos Def. you know, I listen to these new cats, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm not like an old person, and I try to like mix it in the middle. I try to match in the middle to where like I'll take the old school sample, but I'll put the new drums on it, you know what I'm saying?
True.
Just to kind
True.
of, you know, with the old school flow. I ain't trying to give out too much of
Listen, you
my
can't, man.
secrets.
You it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that, man. It's a lot of sacrifice in perfecting your craft and honing your craft. So
Absolutely.
you can't give all the secrets away. You
Yeah,
know, you
yeah.
can't. People got to walk that
I ain't got
walk.
no secrets, man. I just going in and try to make something hot. Like
That's
that's
what's
it.
up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Listen, what I wanted to do is, you know, we've had this has been a great conversation,
Yeah,
man.
I appreciate you
Yeah,
for having me, man. Look,
this,
yo, you got to pick another day where I could do this because I could talk about, you know, we could do this all day.
true.
For
True, true. We gonna have a part two, man. We going because I think you know there's a part that there's a project that I have in mind in terms of you know right now with this COVID situation. There's a lot of affluent and rich communities who are they're going to this concept that's called pod teaching, where they're actually hiring teachers because there may not be school, there may be all virtual schools. They're actually hiring teachers to teach groups of their children because they can afford that, right?
wow.
So a lot of poor and less affluent, you know, and less resource communities are struggling to kind of like find educational experiences for their children. So one of the things that I've been talking to some of my educator friends is like, yo, how can we create, like, for example, by you know, training, I'm an English teacher. I can teach language arts, I can teach writing and reading. So how can we begin to offer some of our skills to some of these young people in our communities who may need a little extra during the next 6 months, you know? So you may be hearing from me in terms of, you know, like when
Oh
you talk
yeah, yeah,
about the arts, photography, you know, music,
yeah,
like
definitely,
if
man.
we
Like
had young people.
anything I know, I'm willing to share. I did are you familiar with Jacinia Rivera and the Prophet?
Yes,
Basically,
yes,
yeah.
man. Yes,
So
yes.
my wife put me on but she got an amazing program. So she reached out to me. She was doing a like a mental health camp for like I think like 7 to 12-year-old age.
I remember that. In
She said,
Asbury.
yeah, come
Yes.
through. She said, come
Yes.
through and like teach the kids. Man, I had more fun.
Yes.
That jump was amazing because I always wanted to do that. And just
Yes.
to see the joy in their faces while
Mm-hmm.
like they hearing themselves for the first time or they writing, they recording. I showed them how to, you know, do everything on a computer. And I just
Yes.
like, yo, I remember that. Yo, and I'm like, I can never lose that feeling. Like I kind of like
Yes.
was like sampling their energy, like, yo, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
have this, I gotta take this, I gotta approach my music this way. Like, and that's how people should feel about anything they do. And like, you know what I'm saying? You could tell people don't have that in them, like they need to find that and
Mm-hmm.
they'll approach
Mm-hmm.
things different, yo. So
Mm-hmm.
what you just said, yo, we definitely need that before they gonna steal all the teachers, like
No, that yeah,
and
exactly.
teachers need to check too. Like you don't never know
Yes.
what situation they in.
Yes.
They like, wait, you
Yes.
gonna pay me
Yes.
how much to teach
Yes.
Johnny?
Yes. And
I'll
then
be
they
there.
yes. Yep.
Like, yo,
And no, that's real
yeah,
talk,
like,
man. That's real talk, you know. And I'm
yeah,
because it's not me shaming educators for doing it because you're right. Like teachers need listen, we got to feed our family as educators, you know. We love children, but we also have this is also a profession and a job. So, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because that is kind of those are the things when you mentioned the situation, Jacinia, shout out Jacinia
yeah. Shout
Rivera.
out to the
Like
prophet.
you talk, that's another one of like, I call them my babies, but like,
Yeah,
yo,
you doing amazing. For real.
like, but it's like, again, though, I go back to having her coaching her in basketball and I'm like, I seen all of this. Like I was able to see it. I was able to see it in her, you know, whether it was her, whether it was Michael Bland, whether it was Takira Brown. Like, I'm like, yo, this is not a surprise to me. You know, it's not a surprise. But,
And when you
you
meet
know,
them, you see it right away.
it's
And all of them
easy.
people, yeah. Like as
Yes.
soon as you meet them,
It's
you like,
yeah,
all right, yeah,
that energy is
got it.
like,
Yeah,
yo,
for real.
you know, and that's why they're changing the world. They're
Yeah,
changing
yeah,
the world. They're having an impact on the community that I couldn't have.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and that's what it's all about. And that's what I believe our job is that we have them, those next generations standing on our shoulders and
Absolutely.
doing things 10
Yeah.
times better and at a higher
Yeah.
rate than
This
we
yeah,
ever
they
could have
don't have
imagined.
yeah, and it's just not long as they ain't starting from zero scratch, you know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
even if it's 10%, like it's something,
Exactly.
like you know what I
It's
mean? Like
yes.
yeah, a
Yes.
lot
You
of
setting
times
them up.
like yeah, a lot of times it's like, all right, dang,
Yes.
we got nothing that
Yeah.
then we gotta build.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now with like technology and resources and all of that too, it's like almost like come on, like if imagine if Martin Luther King had Instagram, brother. Like
Yes. The
you know what
reach he
I'm
would have
saying?
had,
Like,
right?
you know, Malcolm
Yep.
had Twitter, like he was going in, like,
Yes.
but we have that, so we got to take
Yes. What we gonna
YouTube and
do?
all that. We got to take
Yes.
advantage of it, and then
True.
not only take advantage of it, we can figure a way to come up with our own platforms. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed. Indeed. Well, listen, Mr. Encore, it's been real, fam.
yeah. I
I
appreciate you, man. Like,
listen, I
yo, nah,
appreciate you
like
more.
you know, as soon as you know, you kind of caught me off guard when you was like, I inspired you. Cause I was gonna
Yo.
get on here like, man, Dr. Ross is like everything. Like, you know, I remember
Nah,
when you
man.
said you listened to my stuff, I was like, yo, like, damn, like, that's
No
what's up.
doubt,
Like,
man.
'cause I really
Yo.
wanted to, I was too scared to be like, you like it, like, you know what I mean? I ain't wanna,
Nah,
I just
listen,
was happy
man.
you was tuned in, like, yeah,
Listen,
man, I
I'm
appreciate
all about that, man. I'm,
it.
you know,
Yo, anytime, listen, man, if you need, and then I don't know if you got a theme song for your podcast, but I'll be
that
happy to make one, man. You know what I'm saying? I
listen,
had to put that out there.
I'm
You know,
telling you, I don't
you gotta,
have
you
one.
know, I'll hook you up with something, man.
I
Man,
don't have one. I don't
yeah,
have
bro.
one.
Listen,
And
I
that's
got
why I was coming at you
got
earlier. I was like,
you.
yo, you know,
Yeah,
take me down. Have me thinking like, you know, you might be able to hit me up with the theme song.
yeah,
So we definitely
yeah.
got to talk about that.
A lot of people like take me down because like what I was talking about mental health on that, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I ain't even realize it until like I went back and listened
Went
to it a
back.
few
Yeah.
times. But if a good friend of mine, shout out to Alicia Cook,
Mm.
she listened to it. She was like, y'all want to add something to this? That's how much I like it. And I was like, for real? She was
Wow.
like, yeah, like you was. So then that one made because when you write and you don't even be think.
Yeah.
I don't like to think like I just like
Yeah.
really like to try to be honest and truthful.
Yeah.
And just tell my story and then I was like, yo, damn, I really was talking about like,
That's deep.
you
That's
know,
deep.
but yo,
That's
man,
deep.
anytime you need me, I'm coming running, man. I
That's
appreciate
what's up.
it.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for thanks everyone for tuning in. You know, we have some nice comments in the comment box, and what I'm gonna do is when I drop the show notes for this, I'm gonna list all of the ways that folks can get in contact with you, and then also your different in terms of your companies, your brands, you know, and the services that you could offer community. I'm going to list those things so people have access to them. But you know, finally, man, I
I
want to thank
appreciate you.
you. You know, no, thank you, man, for being the first guest on our podcast.
I'm honored. For
Yep,
real. For
you
real.
101, dog. That's it.
I
You
appreciate
101
it,
right
man.
now.
I appreciate it.
So
Hey, yo, and
yeah,
listen, man, we gotta have you. You know, we gonna talk off camera, but we gotta
true.
have you. One person I ain't shout out. We got to shout out Mama Hill. You
Oh,
know,
no doubt.
www.mamahill.com. The best vegan cuisine on the East Coast.
No doubt. Which I gotta get. I told you, you know,
Oh, I'm
let
gonna
her
hook you
know.
up. I'm gonna hook you up.
I'm
When you come
coming.
down,
Yeah.
we gonna hook you up. Just
I'm coming.
point to something on the menu, and we got you.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
coming because I've been watching it from afar, but I was like,
yeah.
I gotta taste that, man, because
Oh
I'm
yeah,
seeing a lot, you
yeah.
know, and
It's amazing.
I gotta taste it.
It's amazing, man. Trust me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I believe it. I
definitely.
believe it.
Hey,
So,
she said you one of her favorite teachers too. So
oh, listen, man,
yeah,
Aaron, yeah, we go way,
yeah.
Aaron, we go
I have to
back,
say that on here.
yo.
You gonna kill me? Yeah,
She's real good people, man. I think I had her first in seventh grade. She was in my first year teaching. I had them, and that was that was a group. Yo, they threw me to the wolves, man. Like
yeah,
I had some hardcore people, but then I remember her in class, and she was always brilliant, man. Like Erin was that's why like what I see her doing and what you're doing, like it doesn't surprise me because she always had that brilliance. And I remember the culinary arts thing being something real. And I know that was a family thing too, being something real to her, you
yeah,
know. So like seeing her take off she's another one we're gonna have to get on here,
Oh yeah, most
and hear that Mama Hill story.
absolutely, man. But
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to talk you to death, and I know
yeah.
you got to run.
Nah,
But
it's
I
all
just want
good,
to, yeah,
fam.
just thank you, man. Thank you, man, for everything. Anytime you need, I'm gonna get to work on that theme song.
All right.
You will have that
So
ready
so
by
listen,
episode
you'll let
2.
me know when it's ready, fam. You'll
Yeah,
let me know
I
when
will
it's
be ready
ready.
by episode 2, man.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. That's peace. That's peace. Listen, peace, man. Thank you for joining in. And we'll be in touch with you. You're always family here, so just know
I
that.
appreciate it, man.
All
I
right.
appreciate it. Thank you,
Yes.
doctor.
Thank you. Peace, Mr. Encore.
Peace, peace.